Hi everyone, welcome back. Now, I know I've been on a bit of a sabbatical from my YouTube videos because I went back to India and I've just recently come back. So, from today onwards, I'm going to carry on and put out 2 videos a week for all of you out there to keep updating you about life in the UK, working as a healthcare professional, and everything that's in between to you gaining your PR. So, today's video is going to talk primarily about one question that has been asked so many times already on my Instagram account, and so I'm making this video to answer that for you. Is the shortage occupation list for UK going to be stopped, and are the work visas that are being issued at the minute for healthcare professionals, so that is the health and care worker visa, going to be stopped generally across the UK? So if you are a healthcare professional planning to come into the UK, or if you are somebody who is already on the healthcare visa but wants to extend it in the next few years or few months, then this video is for you, and don't forget to watch it all the way to the end. So before we move ahead, just for those of you who are not aware about the shortage occupation list, on my screen right now you can see this is the shortage occupation list, which as you can see right now is many. So right now a lot of healthcare professionals, including doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, and many others, are included on the shortage occupation list. And this makes it easier for all of us to come into the UK and work in the UK. Now, for those of y'all who are not aware about what is the importance of the shortage occupation list, let me break it down. So, a shortage occupation list is a list where there are occupations. Now, these specific occupations or professions are specific jobs or specific job categories where the UK employers are unable to find people from within the UK to sort of fill these vacancies. So that's why they want to recruit or they want to hire people from outside the UK, whether that's India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, or any other country where you are watching this video, and they want to recruit you from all of your individual countries to come into the UK and work over here. Now, again, a lot of healthcare professionals were added to this list in April 2021, and it was massive because there have been so many healthcare professionals coming to the UK over the last 2 years. It's been insane. Now, what has happened is that there is a particular organization or a group known as MAC. So, MAC stands for Immigration Advisory Committee. Now, this is a committee that is responsible to suggest certain advice or maybe certain recommendations to the UK government regarding immigration issues. Now, this has not been, sort of a big news or a breaking news for any of you, because there have been several concerns about UK's immigration at the minute anyways. In today's video, let's see what are the recommendations by MAC, what are some of the most important changes that they are recommending, and what is the impact of these changes that might happen not only on you but also on people like me who are in the UK right now. So the first recommendation made by MAC is that they want to reform or abolish the shortage occupation list. Now, for those of y'all who are not aware, if your occupation lies on the shortage occupation list, the threshold that you need to meet in terms of wages is much lesser as compared to somebody on a skilled worker category. So the threshold for them is much higher. Now, that just means that because the threshold is lower, employers might be paying you lesser than what you generally would be getting in this country. However, what this also means is that you might be at a high risk of exploitation because you are being paid lower wages and your salary is much lower. And again, considering the cost of inflation and the cost of sort of living generally across the UK, this might not be an ideal situation for you. So therefore, the MAC advises that they want to change or they want to raise this sort of minimum wage category or this sort of minimum threshold category for every visa category which is under the shortage occupation list at the minute. And they believe that reforming this threshold is going to help reduce the risk of exploitation generally for overseas migrant workers. The second recommendation, which I personally believe is really important and good, is that they want to remove the restrictions that is applied for asylum seekers in terms of work. So at the minute, I do know of asylum seekers in the UK who are unable to work, especially because of the work restrictions that are placed on this particular visa category. However, MAC recommends that if they abolish or if they stop these work restrictions, these people will now be allowed to find jobs within the UK. And I think this is the right step in the right direction, and MAC has made a really good recommendation out of this, I feel. Now, at this point, let me remind you, if you are somebody who's planning to come into the UK as a healthcare professional and would like any help or assistance with making those job applications, getting your HCPC registration, or even cracking those interviews, do not hesitate to book a one-to-one session with me, and I'll leave the link for that in the description box below. But if you are a student who's planning to come into the UK in the Jan 24 intake and are still struggling to find budget-friendly, cheap accommodation, do not forget to give Amber students a shout, and I'm leaving the link for them again in the description box below because they are absolutely fabulous at helping you find accommodation for yourselves. The third recommendation that they obviously feel is that they would like to review. So if, for example, the shortage occupation list is indeed reviewed and impacted, they would like to do another review of it in spring 2024. So it's like they've put these measures in place thinking about what will be the positive or the negative impacts, and these are going to be reviewed in spring 2024. Fourth recommendation they have is that they want to rename the shortage occupation list to immigration salary discount list, because they believe that this name sort of clearly describes what the shortage occupation list is about, because the salary thresholds for this visa category are much lower because they fall on the shortage occupation list. However, I do have my concerns about this naming because I think it might not be entirely appropriate. Next recommendation that is there from MAC, which is the fifth recommendation, is that they want to remove certain occupations from the shortage occupation list. So which are these occupations? These are simply occupations where the hourly rate is much lesser than the minimum wage in the UK. Now again, there will be several occupations such as construction workers and many other occupations like these which might fall under this category. But again, if you're a healthcare professional, it is highly unlikely, if you've got a band 5 or a band 6 job, that you will fall below the minimum wage. So do not be worried about it. The sixth recommendation is that MAC advises the UK government that it needs to raise these thresholds of salary and only then make an update or a change in the shortage occupation list, which I think is quite wise again, because they need to review all of it together once these changes are implemented. So let's talk about the impact of all of these recommendations on us. Now, the first and the most important thing for you to remember is that all of these recommendations are not yet accepted. So all of this basic theory around what MAC has recommended still pivots around the fact whether the UK government is actually going to accept these recommendations. Now, this is yet to be decided, so I will update you guys about as and when this sort of comes through. So the first thing that I want to say is, obviously, if the shortage occupation list salary thresholds increase, that just means that employers will have to pay more for occupations that are on the shortage occupation list at the minute. So employers are going to have to pay overseas migrants a bit more as compared to whatever salary they are paying them at the minute. And this might again put them off in offering those sponsorships, especially if they can find somebody who is qualified and who will meet the requirements for the job within the UK. Second thing it might most likely impact is that it is going to affect the COS cost and the visa application cost if the shortage occupation list is taken away altogether. So what this essentially means is that you're going to have to spend a little bit more money to make those visa applications, and your employer is going to have to spend a little bit more money for those cost applications, because it's not going to be cheap anymore. Now again, this can be something that puts future employers or employers even existing right now who offer sponsorship slightly off and might not be the most ideal situation for them. And third impact that it might have might be a positive one, because obviously MAC wants that all of the sort of employers should be having fair compensation for all of the employees, whether they are overseas migrants or not. However, again, like I said, this might just mean that the employer needs to spend a little bit more cash out of their pockets to pay the employees, and so this might be something that they are not really keen about. So I hope this video made it very clear for you guys, and if you did find anything that doesn't make sense, do leave that question down in the comment section below and I will get back to you. But if you haven't already followed me on Instagram, now's your turn to do so, guys. Take care. Bye.